Now on CoastTV News.
The government shutdown continues. The impact on travel, food stamp benefits, and when things might finally be resolved in Washington. Stuff the Bus, how people in Delaware are helping those in need with the annual food donation campaign, how you can chip in. Plus, Seaford Police and ICE. The department wants to clear things up after assisting federal agents Thursday morning.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The government shutdown, now the longest in U.S. history, still has America in limbo. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this Friday night. I'm Christina DeRobertis. On Friday, Senate Democrats blocked a GOP-led bill to pay federal workers forced to work without pay during this shutdown. Now, earlier in the day, Senate Democrats presented their own plan to end the impasse, but tonight, as Sherelle Hubbard reports, the gridlock continues.
It's clear we need to try something different.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer took to the Senate floor Friday with a Democratic proposal to end the government's longest shutdown.
Democrats have said we must address the health care crisis, but Republicans have repeatedly said they won't negotiate to lower the health care costs until the government reopens. So let's find a path to honor both positions.
Schumer, joined by his Democratic colleagues, said his party would vote to end the impasse in exchange for one more year of enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. Schumer's offer includes a stopgap bill and 3 full-year funding bills. But Senate Majority Leader John Thune quickly rejected Democrats' proposal, calling it a, quote, non-starter. Most government employees, including air traffic controllers, continue to work without pay.
They're calling in saying, I don't have enough gas to get to work.
Hundreds of flights were canceled on Friday, thousands more delayed due to a combination of air traffic controller staffing issues and an FAA-mandated 4% cut in flights. Meantime, the Agriculture Department said it is working to fully fund food stamp benefits for November to comply with a court order.
It's been really hard. I've literally been eating spaghetti for 4 days because it's all I have in my apartment.
And as the stalemate in the Senate deepens, the shutdown is likely to extend into next week.
We all agree, Democrats and Republicans, that this is not fair.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And as this record-breaking government shutdown continues, now the FAA says they're reducing air traffic by 4%, a number that will eventually bump up to 10%. The reductions started this morning across 40 high-volume markets, the agency claiming it's a safety precaution as air traffic controllers show signs of strain. People here on Delmarva say they're worried about traveling for the holidays.
It is really disconcerting that, we have to worry about it. We have to wonder what's going on. Are the airports going to be open or that kind of thing?
Now, the Philadelphia International Airport, BWI, the D.C. airports, and New York City airports are all affected by these cuts. And we're going to go to our CoastTV poll now. We're asking tonight, who do you blame for the government shutdown? Let's look at the results here. 41% say Democrats, 59% say Republicans, and we also have a comment from Jim in Millsboro tonight. He says you should have a third choice, both. Thank you, Jim, for the comment. You can leave your own comment and you can still vote. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Well, people this week were filling up a DART bus with food donated by those in surrounding communities. This week, DART's 28th annual Stuff the Bus food drive. They've been accepting donations at various locations across Delaware. And CoastTV reporter Drew Bellinger shows us how a partnership with the Food Bank of Delaware has been collecting goods.
The Delaware Administration for Regional Transit is loading up its boxes, grocery bags, and a 30-foot DART bus. For the Transit Administration, this week was all about giving back to the community. DART held its annual Stuff the Bus food drive for Delawareans in need, placing this box outside of its bus, encouraging people to donate specific items. Azim Mirza works for DART. He says the food drive could not have come at a better time.
So I think in any way that we can kind of give back to those in need, we'll kind of combat that issue. Especially right now being a tough time with everything that's going on. This would be a great way for those in need of food to kind of get what they need.
According to the Dart First State website, since 2020, the food drive has provided over 100,000 pounds of food. That doesn't even include this year's totals. Fred Mayer says he's compelled to help.
You know, we're lucky we have our food at home and can go out to a restaurant occasionally. So it's just a give back, really, to the community.
The group is hopeful it can surpass its goal of 15,000 pounds this year. In Rehoboth Beach, Drew Bellinger, Coast TV News.
A deadly chain reaction crash closed Coastal Highway for about 5 hours earlier today. And this was the scene around 5:30. Delaware State Police say it happened initially at 2:30 south of Hudson Road. And according to DSP, a dump truck failed to slow down for traffic and slammed into a line of cars. A 62-year-old was taken to the hospital where she later died, and her passenger was pronounced dead at the scene. Several others were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Now let's take a live look into Lewis and get a check on our weather. Our First Alert meteorologist Bob Trihey joins us now. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Christine. It certainly has been a mild Friday evening and afternoon. We had temperatures in the 60s. We still have that now, but it didn't start that way this morning. 32, that was the low in Georgetown, and 28, that was the previous low back on April 9th of this year. Now look at the highs for today. Nice recovery into the mid 60s, and we're right around that number right now, around 61 to 64 degrees. Very mild conditions across the area thanks to our strong southwesterly breeze, sustained right now at around 7 to 14 miles per hour. But we've seen gusts near 30 Indian River inlet and inland areas, even gusting close to 20 miles per hour, as we have a veil of high clouds across the area. And now we're seeing some showers along the I-95 corridor west of there with a cold front. A lot of these showers beginning to dry up, but I think some of them could survive the trek to the east and give us a little bit of rain overnight, as we are tracking a weak cold front that is sliding in. But it really won't cool us down tomorrow, as we're looking at futurecasts at midnight. We're still very mild in the 60s with the cloud cover. There are some of those showers after about 4 a.m., but then they start to dry up tomorrow morning. Then the sun comes out and it's another mild day, so not too cool behind the cold front, as we're looking at mild conditions overnight, dropping into the upper 50s tomorrow morning. A mild weekend shower Sunday, and then an Arctic blast the early part of next week. A big time taste of winter. That forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thanks for that, Bob. Now to what is next for a Rehoboth Beach commissioner and city manager after a cease and desist letter. The letter, it stems all the way back from city manager Taylor Tedder's hiring process and his salary. And as Brandon Ferguson reports, Rehoboth Commissioner Suzanne Good has been publicly speaking against both of those things regarding Tedder.
At a meeting inside City Hall on July 18th, to discuss civility and protocol between city employees, comments were made by former Commissioner Edward Chesnowski, claiming Suzanne Good is disrespectful and consistently unprofessional. Good says those comments should have been made privately in an executive session. Good says that is what prompted her to leave several voicemails to City Manager Tedder.
I've never quite experienced the level of unprofessionalism that we've experienced with this certain commissioner.
Tedder claims at least 10 voicemails were left in a 6-hour period.
I do own the fact that I tend to get a little too emotional. There were times when I got frustrated.
Good says she received the cease and desist email after she made those phone calls. She was shocked.
I was a little emotional over it. It certainly caused me a lot of stress and anguish.
Good has spoken out in multiple meetings about Taylor Tedder's $250,000 salary and $750K compensation package. Good blames previous commissioners for allowing the contract to go through.
She's definitely entitled to her opinion, and that's okay.
I believe that he is, by and large, doing a good job in responding to residents' concerns. However, he is, in my opinion, continuing to rely too much on consultants and pushing spending projects without much oversight.
Good says she recognizes she sometimes gets off topic during meetings, mentioning Tedder's salary, but says it's important when talking about city finances. City Manager Tedder says since sending the cease and desist, things have gotten better.
Things are definitely improved, and we are speaking and communicating in methods that are more respectful.
That was Brandon Ferguson reporting, and Commissioner Suzanne Good says she plans to meet face-to-face with Taylor Tedder in the coming weeks to discuss various topics. Seaford police are speaking out about an incident involving immigration and customs enforcement. Police say yesterday ICE was attempting to take someone into custody in the parking lot of the Lowe's in Seaford, and police say the suspect physically resisted federal agents and hid under a utility trailer. Seaford officers assisted in moving that trailer so that ICE could arrest the suspect. Police say the person sustained a minor injury. And in a statement today, Seaford police said in part, quote, "We do not participate in civil immigration enforcement. We take our responsibility for the safety and security of all of our community members very seriously. However, when situations involving federal partners turns into a criminal investigation, as it did yesterday, we are legally allowed to and will assist as we would for any criminal investigation within our jurisdiction," end quote. And there's more news to come tonight at 11. Coming up, a $400 million fix. Delaware lawmakers vote on a key budget bill today, what it could change in the state code. But first, there's a lot of fun activities this weekend and ways to honor veterans. Stay tuned for your cool things to do up next. And a bit later, Bob Trihey is in our Coast TV First Alert Weather Center with a mild weekend forecast, some showers, then a taste of winter next week. He has your full forecast in a bit. If you have ever wanted to do this, chuck a pumpkin as far as you can, or dress up like it's the Middle Ages, or even watch some incredible independent films, this is the weekend for you. Here is a look at some of the cool things to do this weekend. Filmmakers and film lovers can head to the Cinema Art Theater all weekend long for the annual Rehoboth Beach International Film Festival. Attendees can enjoy more than 100 films, from global dramas to local documentaries, and don't worry, there's plenty of popcorn to go around. You're going to want in on this pumpkin throwing competition at Big Chill Surf Cantina in Rehoboth on Saturday. It's the 8th annual Sling and Squash. Whoever throws their pumpkin the farthest wins a $100 cash prize. It's the last weekend for the Delaware Renaissance Fair, and if you don't go now, you have to wait until next November for all the sword fighting and fire blowing. The Mare Institute, you might know, rescues adorable and vulnerable animals up and down the coast year-round. And on Saturday in Rehoboth Beach, Mare is hosting its annual Fin Raiser. You can enjoy food, music, and wine, all while supporting the Institute. And remember, Veterans Day is coming up on Tuesday, and this Sunday, the Rehoboth Concert Band is honoring our nation's heroes with Duty, Honor, Country, a tribute to veterans at 3 p.m. at Cape Henlopen High School. You can head over to CoastTV.com and click on Cool Things to Do for event details, tickets, and more.
We're ending our Friday with temperatures in the 60s, but a much different story this morning. It was a hard freeze and a killing frost. Look at this, 29 in Salisbury and Ocean City, 30 in Dagsboro and Millsboro, Georgetown right at freezing at 32, and Cambridge 34. Our temperatures now are about twice as warm as that. Here's our dry tech cam, 61 in Ocean City and a breezy southwesterly wind, making for a pleasant evening as temperatures slowly fall through the overnight hours. And right now it is pretty pleasant out there. Temperatures around 62 to 64, Millsboro 63, Bethany Beach 63, as is Delmarva. We are warm thanks to a southwesterly breeze around 10 to 20 miles per hour, and it's been pretty gusty, 20 to even 30 miles per hour at the coast, 27 Eyre Inlet right now, 13 miles per hour in Millsboro. So it is breezy out there, so we've got some mid to high level clouds right now, and even some showers showing up along the I-95 corridor from D.C. back through Baltimore Baltimore and Philly as well. We're tracking a weak cold front coming through. You can see those showers from the northeast to areas around D.C. and then farther to the south of there. And they're starting to dry out as they head our way, but I think we could be looking at some of those showers overnight. And then the big story into early next week is this Arctic front across the northern plains, the coldest air of the season, poised to move our way as we head into the early part of next week. Here's Futurecast at midnight. It's breezy with temperatures in the low 60s, so we're not really dropping off much tonight. Here's 2 a.m. temperatures right around 60. By 4:30, there's that little shot of showers with the cold front, but then it's quickly out here. And by tomorrow morning, we're starting to see partly cloudy skies and temperatures by noon into the mid to upper 60s and then close to 70 as we head into the 2:30 hour. And then as we go into the evening hours, temperatures in the 50s. And as we go into your Sunday morning, it's still mild with temperatures in the 50s. And I think we're looking at some showers, possibly a rumble of thunder, and then those winds shifting to the southwest ahead of that Arctic front on Monday. Along the coast on Saturday, we're looking at temperatures in the mid 60s from Lewis to Rehoboth, Ocean City, and Bethany Beach with a westerly wind, as those gusty winds will start to calm down a little bit overnight and then shift to the north and west. As we're watching this Arctic front coming through on Monday, and temperatures will plummet as we're looking at maybe some flurries or showers very early Tuesday as that cold air is moving in. Grab the winter coat Monday and Tuesday. We're looking at showers and possibly some flurries. Highs in the 40s, lows in the 20s and 30s. And by Tuesday morning, feeling like low 20s with that wind chill. 55 tonight, partly cloudy, breezy and mild. And then tomorrow, mild day, 69 with a morning shower, otherwise partly cloudy. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. Temperatures plunge on Monday from the 50s into the 40s with a hard freeze Tuesday morning, 30. Sunshine, it's going to be a cold Veterans Day on Tuesday, 46. And then mid to upper 50s Wednesday through Friday with a mix of sun and clouds.
All right, thank you again, Bob. Well, people living in Louisville, Kentucky are paying tribute to those who lost their lives after a UPS plane bound for Hawaii crashed on takeoff Tuesday afternoon. Julia Richardson reports.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures.
Whether you're talking about the unit in and of itself or UPS in and of itself, we're still one big family, and that family grew a little bit smaller.
Adam Jackson says he works for UPS and left the site of the crash shortly before it happened. Jackson tells me he usually takes Grade Lane home, but didn't on Tuesday because of traffic.
We get our son together for school, and my wife was holding him in tears, and I was like, what's wrong, hon? And she just thought about, that brief moment before I had actually called her on my way home that, it would just be, it flashed before her eyes that it would just be them, and there was a lot of that going around for a lot of folks that day.
Jackson was among community members who showed up for a vigil Thursday night to remember the victims killed in connection to the crash. And for many, even if they weren't directly impacted, the crash was and still is traumatic.
When I heard that a child died, that hit me hard. I choked up a few minutes ago, and it was emotional. It was overwhelming. Words I can't describe.
Part of the vigil, these crosses for people to sign dedicated to the crash victims. Lutheran Church Charities provides the crosses and sends them to disasters and tragic events across the country. Clyde Lang, who lives in Louisville, just started building the crosses for the company a few months ago. Lang never imagined some of the first crosses he made would be for a tragedy so close to home.
It's sad that it has to happen in my community. At the same time, it's very fulfilling to know that I've maybe played a very small part in people working through that process.
And leaders say they know it will take time for people to process everything that happened.
We are here to help and support each of the survivors, each of the families who are in grief, any member of our community who has been impacted by this horrific tragedy.
A A projected $400 million budget shortfall is looming in Delaware after Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Under current law, Delaware automatically adopts most federal tax changes, but House Bill 255, which was discussed and voted out of committee today, it looks to decouple the state from those rules. This comes after Governor Meyer called on the General Assembly to reconvene to address the shortfall. Supporters say the bill is needed to protect state revenue, but opponents are arguing the real problem is the state's rapid spending growth, not lost revenue from the federal changes.
If we allow for that major deficit to happen to our budget, just so major corporations could go backwards and pull funding, that would be us being irresponsible. And again, putting corporations before people, and we just don't want to make that as a choice.
Do we have a spending problem here in Delaware? Well, yeah, I mean, we're up almost something like 50% since 2020. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. At the same time, would we be here in mid-November if it wasn't for a change at the federal level? I don't know the answer to that.
And the General Assembly will be back at Legislative Hall for that extraordinary session on Thursday. Also discussed in Dover today was House Resolution 19, which would allow House members to participate remotely in special or extraordinary sessions with the Speaker's permission. The Senate already has a remote participation option. Supporters say this bill offers greater flexibility by allowing lawmakers to join remotely when sessions are called outside of the regular calendar. Opponents, though, they counter that in-person discussions in Dover are still necessary, even for sessions held outside of the normal legislative schedule. Today, the resolution was voted out of committee and it will be added to the agenda for Thursday's session. Coming up after the break, the unconventional way that one veteran is healing his PTSD, but why it's still banned in the U.S.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
The Trump administration has reached a deal with drug makers to lower the cost of some GLP-1 weight loss drugs. President Trump announced the deal in the Oval Office yesterday. Under the deal, the monthly out-of-pocket cost of the drugs could range from $50 to $350. That's depending on the dosage and insurance coverage. That's according to a senior administration official. Well, finding hope and healing after conventional treatments have failed. Amid the ongoing veteran mental health crisis across our country, a growing number of our wounded warriors are turning to psychedelic-assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. And yeah, it might sound like something out of the 60s, and while it's not yet federally legal in the U.S., Michael Yoshida shows us this alternative approach. It's gaining momentum, including U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs funded research trials.
Something that I dove headfirst into and never looked back.
Veteran Navy SEAL Marcus Capone always answered the call.
SEAL Team 10 and Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and multiple combat tours to both Afghanistan and Iraq.
Serving until physical and mental wounds of war took their toll.
Went to see the psych and he said, you know, Marcus, you're the 200th guy that's come in here. I assume it's from going down range, but you know, I really don't know how to take care of this at the moment.
Marcus tried different doctors, medicines, and therapy, but things only got worse until 2017, when his wife Amber approached him with a Hail Mary, psychedelic-assisted therapy.
Honestly, I thought it was crazy.
After research and seemingly out of other options, Marcus decided it was worth traveling outside the U.S. to a clinic in Mexico, where the legal but unregulated psychedelic ibogaine is combined with therapy and medical monitoring.
My life completely changed. I did a 180. I felt again. I feel like I haven't felt anything in years. I was able to be, human again.
This therapy isn't for everyone, and there are different approaches. Some use ibogaine, LSD, ketamine, or MDMA to enhance the effectiveness of talk therapy and help patients reprocess traumatic memories.
Most of our standard psychiatric medications are meant to suppress symptoms. Psychedelics used in this way are not meant to suppress symptoms. They're meant to help people get in touch with and process.
Dr. Barbara Rothbaum has been pioneering PTSD treatments for decades, including an ongoing Department of Defense-funded study looking at effects of combining MDMA with therapy that helps patients gradually confront trauma.
It's not MDMA like kids are going to get in the clubs. People are monitored, they're screened to make sure it's safe for them to take it. They've got a lot of safety conditions, and it's combined with a lot of therapy.
Right now, except for a few exemptions, possession of psychedelics is a federal crime. But the tides may be changing when it comes to medical treatment, with possible support of Veterans Affairs Secretary Doug Collins.
We're opening up the possibility of psychedelic treatment and others that give us an opportunity. We got to research it, make sure it's good.
While several states have passed bills supporting research into psychedelic therapy, it could be years before a federally approved treatment is available.
We shouldn't be fighting a war for our country and then when we come home have to travel outside the country to receive treatments.
In Washington,
we're staying pretty mild through the overnight hours and maybe a sprinkle very early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, look at this, pretty mild, and we're into the 60s mid-morning. Edward Vreeland from Frankfurt is our umbrella winner. Congratulations to him. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, 69 tomorrow. Some showers on Sunday, 68. Then the bottom drops out as we go into Monday with that Arctic front. The big chill is coming, Christina. Temperatures plummeting through the 40s, hard freeze. Tuesday morning, feeling like 20s. And a very cold and sunny Veterans Day, 46, and then 50s, and dry the rest of the week.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Ready or not, here it comes.
I don't really have a choice.
We've already had that one little shot this morning, but boy, it's going to be a shock to the system early next week with that cold.
All right. Well, thanks for letting us know, Bob.
Sure.
And thanks to you for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 tonight. You can find more news and more weather on our Coast TV News app, and The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is up next. We'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 6 p.m. Have a good night.